Welcome back. People are trickling in, and we are going to see if we have any questions. Any questions on this one? I'm going to save it. Seems like somebody might ask me later. I don't save all my slides, just be aware of it, but it's not a big deal. If you ask me something, I got rid of it, I'll redo it. I mean, it doesn't take that long. Okay, moving on, guys. Okay, guys, completing the square is a very important concept, and it's a little hard, guys. Okay, so bear with me. When they say completing the square, you have to do it that way. And what is completing the square? So, and then you can use the technique that we just learned here, square root property. That's why we do it. How do we do completing the square? What is that? Well, let's take an example. Let's take an example, number 47. We're going to do it by completing the square. What is that supposed to mean? I'm going to write it nicely here so that you know that's what we're doing. Completing the square. How do we do it, guys? Remember, guys, when we use the square root property, we had a square. Somewhere we had a square. I want to have a square that involves everything on this side. Okay, that's my goal. Another thing to remember, guys, and this is very important, something we have seen, I probably used X, doesn't matter. X plus Y square is equal to X squared plus 2XY plus Y squared. And we had another similar problem, and you can just FOIL the left-hand side, you're going to get the right-hand side. X minus Y squared all right, guys. Now, what does this have to do with anything, guys? A lot. So on the left-hand side, guys, and it's going to seem, I want to, if there is a plus sign, you're going to go for this one. Does anybody have any questions, guys? All right. And you can always unmute yourself and ask. Never hesitate to ask questions. Okay, guys. Now, so I'm going to try to make this here. So I'm going to take X squared. Okay, take this number divided by 2, this 2. Okay, it seems very arbitrary, so be a little patient. I'm going to do a couple. So you're going to get, instead of writing 6, it's always going to be 2 because both formulas have 2. If there is a plus, you're going to go for the first one. We are going for the first one. So I'm going to write plus 2, 3, X. Instead of 6X, we're always going to express 6 or 8 in terms of 2. Now, I'm just going to write now, I'm going to write it like this. What's the next step? I'm going to do it in red. You're going to take this, okay? You're going to square it and add it to both sides. Let me do it. Yeah, that's fine, but I wanted to change the colors, but that's okay. We're going to see how you want to do it. If you don't understand, I'll be happy to explain it again. So I'm going to take that 3, I'm going to square it. Now, you cannot just square 3 and add it to one side. You have to add it to both sides. You have to. Almost done, guys. Look, the left-hand side looks just like this. Hence, I can write X plus 3 whole square. That's much better. On the right-hand side, I can write 7 plus 9, which is 16. scroll down. Almost done, guys. Now I'm going to take square root of both sides as follows. And a good idea, plus minus. And you're going to get plus minus 4. And here, this radical sign on the left-hand side and the square will cancel. You get x plus 3. So what happens here? It's x. You subtract 3 from both sides. And then you can say it like this. It's either going to be positive 1 or minus 4 and minus 7, minus 3 is negative 7. Now I'm going to check it. I don't think checking for this one is going to be that difficult because the answers are nice. So I'm going to check it verbally. 1 square. Let's check it here. 1 square plus 6 times 1 is 7. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. So that's good. And let's check it again. Minus 7 square. And 6 times minus 7. Minus 7 square is positive 49. And 6 times minus 7 is 42. Well, let me write my 9 nicely. 49 minus 42 is also 7. 49 minus 42 is 7. So I know my answers are right. I checked it. It's always a good habit. I'm going to erase it. You can do it on your calculator, but you probably want to make sure you do it. I'm going to pause there a little bit, guys. This is a little hard, guys. Now you might say, how would I know how you do it? Well, I can give you completing the square and ask you to fill in the blanks. So make sure you get it. I'll say, here's what I did. Where did I mess up? Where did I go wrong? I'll circle 4 or 5. You'll say A is wrong, B is wrong. I'll ask you to fill in the blanks so I can give it to you on the exam. So I can put a little box here and say, what goes here? Tell me. So take a look, make sure you get it. We're going to do a couple more completing the squares. Any questions, guys? Okay, let's move on. And let me see, I would like to save this bit, this formula over here that you care, because I will use it. All right, guys, let's see if we can do another one. So again, completing the squares. All right, so let's try this one. 52. Just to let you know, guys, the ones that are completing the squares, if I give you those, you won't be able to factorize them. Just be aware of it, okay? So you're going to be, you can use formula and we're going to talk about it. So it's kind of something you have to kind of make sure you get it. So here we go. Let me find out the other formula. Back. All right, guys. All right. So first what you do, for completing the squares, you bring this guy here. That's your first goal, like the problem we had before. X squared minus 2x, add 5 to both sides. This is what you get. Then you decide if this is minus, you're going to go for this. Okay. And you want this middle term to be minus 2 times something. What is the best way to do it? X squared minus 2 times 1 minus 2 times 1, because I want this term to be minus 2xy. This is my minus 2. This is my x. This has to be my y. All right, almost there. Now you're going to take this and let's change the color. This green one. Let's change this color to, let's call this the green one. This green one is very important, guys. You're going to be adding the square of this parenthetical green number. Here it is 1. In the previous problem, it was something else, doesn't matter. You're going to be adding the square of that to both sides. My green one, green one, green one. Now I'm trying to be consistent with my color. Now the left-hand side looks just like this left-hand side, just like that. So what can I write? I can write x minus y, but it's not y, it's 1. And if you want, I'll make it green in a minute. And the right-hand side is 1 squared is 1, 5 plus 1 is 6. Almost done. Make this guy green. All right, so I'm done with the most difficult part. Most difficult part is behind me. So I'm going to say, take the square root of both sides. You're going to get x. We have done it plenty of times, right? Is that okay, guys? If I just skip that step and write it like this, tell me if you're lost. I took the square root of both sides. The square root and the square on the left-hand side canceled. And square root of 6, there's not much you can do with it, okay? You're going to leave it alone. So what's x? Adding 1 to both sides. And that's your answer. And I'll be happy to check it in a minute. So the answer is square root of 6 plus 1 or negative square root of 6 plus 1. So let's check the answer and then we're going to pause here a little bit, but I want to make sure I didn't mess up. So let's go back to our little calculator. And we're going to first find square root of 6. And if I check the positive one, I'll be okay. Negative 1, better match. Again, it's about 3.45. Okay, your calculator will give you a few more units. Sure, 3.45 is good enough for me. I'm going to check 3.45 here as follows. Okay, I'm going to check it right here. 3.45 square minus 2 times 3.45 minus 0, minus 5. It should be pretty close to 0. It won't be exact. Let's do it right here. 3.45 square minus 2 times 3.45 minus 5. And I'm happy. It's 0.005. I'm happy. It's never going to be 0. And just checking one answer is okay. The other better work because they came together. They're twins. So I'm going to pause here for a couple of minutes, guys, okay, to let you ask me questions. Any questions, guys? Anybody wants to say if they get it or not? Just want to get a feel for you guys. Where are we? Where are we? Are we anybody following what I'm doing? Are we lost or we are following? Anybody wants to share? Anyone wants to say if they're following or not?
I understand.
Very good. And may I know your name?
Morgan.
Morgan, thank you for sharing. Anyone else has any questions? It's a little hard, guys. There's one little brief piece of good news. You can do it this way, of course, and it seems a little difficult if you haven't seen it in the past. We have a formula, and the formula is actually based on the argument we are doing here, okay? Except for it's A, B, C. I'm not going to prove the formula. So the formula, it's an open book exam, so the formula will be available to you, right? Here is the quadratic formula. So here is the plan, guys. We did the square root property. You're going to do some of these problems on BlazeView or MATLAB. We have done the quadratic, we have done completing square. You're going to try more. It's kind of repetitive. And we're going to talk about the quadratic formula. Okay. What is the quadratic formula? It's in your book right here in a nice box, but I'm going to use this picture, which is just a little bigger version of the same thing. Okay. A can't be 0 because whenever you divide, let's write it here. A is not equal to 0. Doesn't hurt. Then I have to find how to do it not equal to, but we'll find it. Okay, so this is the quadratic formula. We're going to use it. So what does it say and how do we use it? That's going to be our next section. And this may allow us to wrap up. This may allow us to wrap up our 1.5. And you're going to see a lot of problems from here. All right, I'm going to take it. I'm going to keep it here. I'm going to keep it handy. It's a little too big. All right. So what is the quadratic formula, guys? Okay. The coefficient of x is called, coefficient simply means the number you multiply x squared by, coefficient of x squared, coefficient of x. Actually, guys, I made a little typo and I'll fix it right now. That's the typo. It should be C. Let's go ahead and fix that. So this is the quadratic formula. And how do we use it? That's the plan. That's the whole portion, or the last section of 1.5 is about using this formula. So you will have access to the formula, you know that. And A is the number that's, you have to put everything on the left-hand side. A cannot be 0. B is the coefficient of x. C is called a constant. So you start with minus b plus minus b squared minus 4se square root of the whole thing divided by 2a. That's the formula, right? And we're just going to use it. How bad could it be? And many of the things that we factorized, and sometime I'll share this with you a little bit. So this problem is going to take me a little bit of time, and I'll do it as promised, number 5, but you can always use the formula. Okay, that's always there. That's why sometimes people don't want to factorize. So let's try the quadratic formula on this one, number 68, and we'll do a couple. I'm going to first do number 68. I'm going to do it in a little more detail, the first one, then we can kind of yeah. So guys, a is the coefficient of x, which is 1. A, don't say it's 0, it's 1. B is 5, and you have to pay attention to the sign, it's positive 5. And C is 2, the constant term. You have to write it, it's a good idea. Then this formula tells you x is equal to minus b. All right, b is 5, but this minus sign is here, plus minus b squared, 5 squared, minus 4, a is 1, c is 2. Divide the whole thing by 2a. A is 1. And I'm going to check it before I mess up. Okay, I don't think I messed up. I'm going to just simplify it. Five squared is 25. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. Minus 5 plus minus 25 minus 8 is, I believe, 17. And this is your answer. I will check it. This is your answer. And we are going to check it like we have been checking. We're going to check one component. And then if it's close to 0, we're going to be happy. But I'll give you a little bit of time to ask questions. But let me go ahead and check it before you ask me questions, okay? So I'm going to first find just the positive value, minus 5, and square root of 17 divided by 2. I'm going to take it like this. Square root of 17 you have your calculator, minus 5 divided by 2. I'm getting 0.44. I'm getting 0.44. Okay, that's negative 0.44. I'm going to put negative 0.44 instead of x right here, negative 0.44. Let's do it right here. Use a different color. Negative 0.44 square plus 5 times negative 0.44 plus 2. I'm gonna put a 0 here. It's not necessary, but it does look nice. Now I'm gonna do this on my calculator, of course. Negative 0.44 square plus 5 times negative 0.44 plus 2. And I'm very happy because it's good enough for me. It will never be 100% accurate because we are rounding it. So I'm happy it's telling me it's negative 0.006. That's good enough for me. So it checks, I would say. If it checks for one, it'll probably check for the other one too. And you can do it. So I'm happy. I'm going to pause here a little bit We have a little bit of time to do one more. Let's do one more, guys, and this way we can conclude our chapter. Let's do 72, and then we'll leave a little bit of time for you to ask questions. You can ask me to do something from the exam, or you can always ask me to do something from the exam. You can always do it in the beginning too when I ask you, what can I do for you? All those things. So let's see. No, I'm just going to go ahead. So discard. I'm going to try this and be a little patient, just a little bit. All right, let's bring the other formula back. Okay, back. Okay, first things first. I am first going to have ABC. Before even I get to that, I'm going to bring everything on the same side. This becomes minus 6x. It's moving from left to right. Minus 1 becomes plus 1. Nothing is on the right-hand side. It's 0. Instead of, well, my A is 3. B is negative 6. And the sign is very important, guys. C is 1. Now I'm going to apply the formula that I have here. This formula. How do I apply it, guys? I say x is equal to negative 6. It's important, guys, the sign. Plus minus negative 6 square, b square, minus 4ac 4, a is 3, c is 1. Whole thing divided by 2 times a. Okay, now carefully, I'm going to simplify it. Negative and negative 6 will give me positive 6. Plus minus is still here. Okay, inside the radical, I'm now moving inside the radical. Negative 6 squared is 36, but positive. 4 times 3 times 1 is 12, minus 12. That's much better. 3 times 2 is 6. Let's see, guys, how we can do it. So let's work on this one. 36 minus 12 is 24. Over 6. Now, you really have to simplify it, guys, and I'm going to do it in green here. 24, if you can factor out something outside the radical sign, you want to. So the best way to write 24, I'm doing it here, guys. 24 is 4 times 6, and square root of 4 times square root of 6. But square root of 4 is 2, and square root of 6 is 6. I think that's the best we can do. So again, instead of 24, I'm going to write 2 times square root of 6. I'm going to go back. Well, we can do green. I don't see a problem. 6 plus 2 square root of 6 divided by 6. Now, you can divide or factor out to however you want to say it, guys. If you factor out 2, and let's do it right here, you're going to get a 3 plus minus 6. In the bottom, you have 6. It's a little bit of work. And then you can divide this and this. You're going to get a 3 in the bottom. So your final answer is 3 plus minus square root of 6 over 3. I will check it. I'll have to, I'm gonna check the positive one, 3 plus square root of 6 divided by 2. And then I'm gonna give you a little bit of time to process it. Okay, but I do want to check it. Number, calculate. I'm just gonna check the positive one, square root of 6 plus 3 divided by 3. I'm getting 1.82, and that's good enough. I'm going to take my 1.82, put it in my main equation, okay? I can just put in my red one, but I'll just, yeah, I'll put in the red one, okay? Which they're the same. 3 times 1.8 to square minus 6 times 1.82 plus 1. And that's good enough for me. It's close to 0.02, so I'm happy. I'm going to move on. Here it is. Take a look. It's a little bit of work. And yes, you have to write the answer in nice reduced form. You have to write the answer scientifically, entering it properly, and you have to learn to do it. And there's a video link under, your study guide will have it too for exam 3, but it's under exam 2, and there's an announcement right here as well. Just those of you who are wondering, I'll show you again. Right here, okay? So guys, this concludes 1.5. We're gonna build on this and work on similar ideas next class. And next class, we should be able to wrap up chapter 1. That's the plan. If you don't have any questions, feel free to leave. If you do have any questions, do come back. I'm going to jump out of this session, let this download, and I'm going to upload the videos and everything. But I'll be here. I'll be here to answer your questions. We still have good 15 minutes to discuss anything you want to discuss about the class. I can't specifically discuss your grades, but those are best done via email. Other than that, come back to the next session. I'm not going away, but I'm going to get out of this session. Thank you, guys.